It was working before, I thought. No batteries. Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. Well, Yankee fans get their prayers answered. Looks like Josh Donaldson is done for the 2023 season. Has a grade 2/grade 3 calf strain. They know there might be a little tear in there, so pretty much it looks like he's done for the year and probably done for his baseball career, so I'm sure Yankee fans are happy about that, but we can't be too happy because the Yankees are kind of mired in the AL East basement, and again, now a little scary with time running out. Might not even make the wild card there, so kind of get into all that, and plus the Yankees made a big move during the All-Star break, switching hitting coaches, which I don't think will make that much of a big difference, but the big difference is that it is a big name, Sean Casey of MLB Network, kind of get into all that, and plus preview this upcoming, I guess, part 2 of the 2023 Subway Series now at Yankee Stadium. It's kind of a bit of a duddish there, but nevertheless, we'll get into all that. But before we do, make sure you subscribe to the audio podcast version of the show. So wherever you get your favorite podcast, look for Section 420 Talkin Yankees. Subscribe. You're going to get additional content more than you see in here, and plus other cool stuff. And of course, during this episode, we're going to pop up all the social media handles. So make sure you're following on Instagram. Make sure you're following on Facebook. And if you're not subscribed already on YouTube, I don't know what's wrong with you. Do that and get notified right away when new content comes up. So as I mentioned on top, Josh Donaldson, for all intents and purposes, is probably done for the 2023 season. Strained his calf, and that was during the Colorado series. They're out in Colorado, so maybe I don't know, had something to do with like the mile high air. Probably not, just the fact that he's 37, 38 years old, kind of getting old there, and it's just things are gonna break more. It's just the way it is. So they did an MRI on it. It was like a grade 2/grade 3 strain, maybe even a possible tear. They're not sure yet, but you can hear this from around everyone. This seems like they're gonna have to shut him down for a while, and with only about like 60 plus games left of the season, I don't think there's any rush to get him back. We gotta get Donaldson back right away. So again, you're just probably not going to see him for the rest of the season, because even if he does come back in rehab, what are you looking at? Maybe late September, and just the way this Yankee seasons go right now, which is getting a little dicey, may not even be relevant by late September. So there'll be no rush to get him back. So you're probably not going to see Donaldson again in a Yankee uniform, at least on the field there. Maybe just having the bench for emotional support, but probably not even that. Probably just be a situation where just stay home, Donaldson, and just collect the remaining of your paycheck. And you can't really knock the guy since he's come back. I mean, look, he has 10 home runs, so he's at least hit home runs. It's just, of those, home runs since he come back, only one of them are relevant. Other times it was just sort of in losing causes or just in garbage time like that. But at least he's been, at least doing something. But the problem is the batting average is so putrid and doing nothing else. So in his place, called up Oswald Peraza, who fans been screaming about for months now. Well, here you get a chance now. Let's see what he can do. Again, wasn't overly impressive to start the season, but he had some time down there in AAA. So let's just see what we can do here now. His second kind of portion being up here in the majors. And you saw that in his first game, during the Angels series, him getting on base 5 times in all of his 5 at-bats. And that's what you need, as much as home runs are cool and awesome, but you need something like that, getting on base, getting guys on base so they could do things, get doubles, get 2-run homers, stuff like that. Not just like some guy up there clamoring and looking for a solo home run. There's, 10 home runs are nice, but Peraza getting on a base 5 times in a game, that does a lot more for the Yankees. So if he could continue to do that for the rest of the season, I guess that's a positive for the Yankees. Defensive-wise, more or less the same thing. Maybe Donaldson might still be a little bit better than Peraza defensively, but you're not losing much. He's okay at third. He can handle himself there. And plus, if they got to move guys around a little bit, DJ, he's not doing great with the bat. At least he can play third base as well. So the Yankees are covered there. So no more Josh Donaldson, unfortunately, there. So this is a Peraza chance, and this is what the fans wanted. So let's just see. And of course, if once Peraza goes like 3 weeks without getting a hit, the fans will start booing him too. And not only was Donaldson having offensive woes, but the team in general, especially with Judge out nursing that strained ligament in the toe, whatever, the entire team just offensively has been terrible. And during the All-Star break, as you know, the Yankees made a move, fired hitting coach Dylan Lawson, and then hired Sean Casey, formerly of the Cincinnati Reds / Detroit Tigers, and then spending the last 15 years doing post-pregame stuff for MLB Network. So they bring him in here to sort of get this team corrected. Now, Sean Casey, again, if you remember back in the late 90s, early 2000s, solid 300 type hitter. Again, if you watch MLB Network, he's very entertaining, very knowledgeable. So I think it's this sort of situation like you have to do something. You can't fire the whole team. You can't, trade all your players. So I think for Cashman, you have to show you're doing something. So I guess it's okay. Now, I personally don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. I just think a lot of it's just, hey, look, do you got the bad speed or don't you? And if you're getting older and stuff like that happens, you got to make tweaks, okay. But I don't see him coming in here and like changing the whole team, because it's not like he has to change one or two people. He has to like change the entire team. But I like the fact that at least Cashman's trying something. Now, this is the first time since Cashman's tenure as Yankees GM he's made a in-season coaching move, whether on the the hitting or the pitching side there. So this is new territory for him. But I think it's almost something that you have to do. Just team batting average wise, around the time they made the move, the team batting average for the whole team was about 230, was like third worst in baseball, and it's like the New York Yankees, and like even with Judge out there, it's still just not acceptable. And just to go show you just the normal starting lineup there, and of course Section 420 Talkin Yankees has the highest technology. We're gonna run the batting average of the team because these are the normal starters, and this is how putrid it is. You have Rizzo at 250, Volpe at 208. DJ at 263. You had ICAF at 254. Now, ICAF, I got to give him a little pass a little bit, because the way he started the season was really terrible, and he was almost getting no playing time because Volpe got the the shortstop job there at the beginning of the season. So there was really no room for ICAF, so they kind of used him in the outfield a little bit. He's had to pitch a few times, which just shows how bad this team has been, just needing him to pitch in games they get blown out in. But to his credit though, he hasn't complained. He's actually been good. So even though it's 254, I got to give him a pat on the back of that. And kind of fluff again. A man, he's been the ultimate utility man. So I'm going to give him a little bit pass, so he's okay there. But then we got Oswaldo Cabrera at 212. Harrison Beta, the local guy we all love, but unfortunately batting 249. This is the bad one. Stanton 201. I know the bat woke up a little bit in the Colorado series. Hitting a couple home runs there, so good sign there. But still, come on. This is a former 2017 National League MVP, batting only 201. Come on. And then the catching duo of Trevino, who was an all-star for the Yankees last season, who was great hitting-wise, only batting 210. And then Higgy, who was usually batting worse than Trevino, was actually doing better this year, but 229. And those averages are terrible there. Now, only person I left off a little bit, I didn't mention yet, was Gleyber Torres, who, look, I got to say, look, he stepped up a little bit. Not great, but I mentioned, with Judge out, the four Yankees that needed to really, pitch in was going to be DJ, Gleyber, Rizzo, and Stanton. Well, of those four, I got to say Gleyber's the one that at least stepped up a little bit, raising his average to 263, which is like, well, that's not really impressive there. But again, from where he was a couple of weeks ago, he says so. Gleyber, again, he still have his mental mistakes in the field and on the bases there, and I don't think he's going to be back for the Yankees in the 2024 season. Just, he's asking for $9 million this season. He's going to want more than that, and I still think they're going to bring him back, especially you have Volpe and Peraza now locked in there as your middle infielders for the future there. But at least for Gleyber Torres, I'll give him a little kudos there. At least stepped it up a little bit so far. Okay, great. And Judge, of course, you really can't count because he's sidelined with the bad toe at 201. But no one even, no one hitting 300, or other than Judge, no one even close to 300. And a little mistake with DJ, actually, it was 231 he's batting. So I gave him 30 points too high. So DJ down 230. So the entire team's terrible there. So is Sean Casey going to be able to turn like 12 guys around? I can't see that as a possibility. I like the fact that he's outside the organization. So, we're all on our box. We're all going to have our blinders on. So maybe him outside the Yankee organization can provide a different perspective. I like that part. But the fact that he's going to turn all these guys up and down the lineup around, no, it's not it. The only chance they got is his Judge coming back, which he is nursing his way back a little bit, taking some hitting, doing some fielding drills. I think him in the lineup just makes everyone better. And that's going to really be the big impact that sort of rises everyone. But other than that, Sean Casey, welcome to the Yankees a little bit. He's on the contract for the rest of the season. We'll see how it goes, but I don't think he's going to make that big of an impact. So other than Sean Casey improving the Yankee plays, where else can the Yankees go to get more offense other than Judge coming back? Now, you're starting to see it online now, all the memes and fake news reports, stuff like that, about Ohtani possibly being traded to the Yankees. I got to throw some water on that. I just can't see that happen in any way, shape, or form. A couple of reasons. First of all, the Yankees aren't going to do that. Basically, let's just say that's even impossible. They're going to have to empty out the entire farm system for this guy. And now they have to do that. This guy is going to want to hit free agency because the amount of money, the contract he's going to get is going to be well over $500 million easily. So for the Yankees, so not only are you going to have to give up the entire farm system, but you're probably going to have to give this guy like $500 million. And I don't see the Yankees doing both. Now, let's just say the Yankees would entertain getting him as a free agent. All right, fine. Then just let the season play out and just get him in the offseason where you don't have to give up any prospects. You could just pay for him and find straight out cash. And you can keep like Jason Dominguez and keep Volpe and keep all those players. So if that even happens, that would be the route to go. Any chance that the Yankees make a midseason trade, I just don't see it at all, just because they're not going to give him the prospects and then have to pay this guy afterwards to keep him. So just throw some water on that. I know the fans want it and think it's going to happen, but there's no way I see that happening. And plus, it's for the fact that, right now the Yankees are kind of skimmering out there in the bottom of the AL East. let's just say, in theory, like the Yankees were maybe in first place, looking really good, or even in second place, just maybe a game or two out. And it's like, all right, yeah, if they add this extra player, they'll really go leaps and bounds. They could add Ohtani and still miss the playoffs. So I don't think the Yankees are going to again go through a big endeavor like that and may not even make the playoffs. So just don't see that happening. Now, where can Ohtani go? Because there's all the speculation. I don't, they've said of the two New York teams, maybe the Mets will make this because the Mets want him there, and Steve Cohen got the money and he wants to, he wants all the fanfare and highlights and the hoopla over it. But the Mets having a terrible season right now, so I don't even see them making a move for Ohtani. Again, unless it's going to be during the offseason where there's straight out pay of cash for him. If he goes somewhere, possibly. Again, he just probably stays in Los Angeles and just goes down the road there for the Dodgers. That just makes the most sense overall. Maybe possibly San Diego, because it seems like they're splashing money all over the place right now, so they could afford him too. I just see Ohtani just staying on the West Coast, and I just don't see him come to the Yankees at all. So the fact that he's now, look, it would be awesome to have him in the Judge in the lineup. Of course, great. Can the Yankees afford that? I guess technically they could. But again, they just shelled out, $360 million for Judge, who's not even playing right now, and $160 million for Rendon, who just started playing, very short while ago. I don't see them giving $500 million to Ohtani. So any dream Ohtani's going to come here in the season to save the Yankees, not happening. And again, if he comes here, they're probably still not going to make the playoffs. Any chance of offseason? Maybe, but very doubtful. So, just get used to Ohtani being on the West Coast, because that's probably where he's going to stay. So if Ohtani's not a possibility, who can the Yankees bring in to at least help this team a little bit? Well, there's a couple of names rumored out there. One of them is Randall Grichuk from Colorado, who the Yankees just seen. Now, he would be a decent addition to the team. The only problem is he's right-handed, and the Yankees have plenty of right-handers, and that's pretty much their problem. They're too right-handed. So I just don't think that would make sense for the Yankees there. Now, who would make sense for the Yankees would be Cody Bellinger from the Chicago Cubs, and for a number of reasons. First of all, he's making $17.5 million now. Obviously, half the season's gone, but I'm sure the Cubs will love to get that money off the books. They're really not going anywhere this season, so it just makes total sense for the Yankees. And of course, Bellinger, you remember his father, Clay Bellinger. He played for the Yankees, and he was part of the 2000 World Series Yankee championship team. And you remember Game 1 there, had that big play, ball hit off the wall there in left field, relays the ball into Jeter. Jeter throws home, and they nailed Timo Perez home at the plate there, and that kind of set the tone for a little bit in that game. Even though the Mets ended up taking the lead, the Yankees came back, but nevertheless, that play early on, big for the Yankees there, because if the Mets take a lead there, they could hold momentum. But nevertheless, Bellinger was a kid at the time, so I'm sure he would get a kick out of playing for the Yankees. And again, he's exactly what the doctor ordered for the Yankees. Left-handed hitter with power, hitting around 300, not one of these guys that's like batting 212, 215, 230. I mean, the Yankees have plenty of those guys right now. And no one's really been able to hold on to the left field job for the Yankees. They've kind of rotated some guys in there. We've seen a little Jake Bowers, a little Billy McKinney out there. Again, making some good defensive plays, but not being a consistent hitter. A little Willie Calhoun. I mean, you'd like someone to be like an everyday player so could finally hold onto the job. Try Oswaldo Cabrera out there. Again, the guy could barely bat, a little over 200 there. You want someone that could be a legitimate bat at least over 280 to 300 and be the everyday outfielder there. So I think Cody Bellinger for the Yankees, that would be the perfect fit. Now you might think in your worst nightmare, will the Yankees any possibly be sellers around the trade deadline? Well, I just don't see that happening right now, just for a number of reasons. Now, it's not like the Yankees are total garbage. I just think it's more of a testament to how tough the AL East is. If the Yankees were in some other divisions right now, they'd probably be in first or second place. It's just how, the AL East probably competitively across the entire league, probably the toughest division in the league. So speaks more to that. Plus, again, the Yankees not doing too well. Plus, with Judge out, all those things kind of combined there. But I don't think it's a situation where the Yankees is completely, again, like the Mets across town, which are more likely to be sellers around the trade deadline. I think that they're going to kind of stand pat with the Yankees. They've been roughly more or less around 5 games under 500 without Judge. So I think that the thinking is, all right, let's get Judge back. We got Rendon back. And hey, look, they're due to play well for a long stretch of time. When that's going to kick in, we don't know just yet, but they figure with that, we get the new hitting coach, Sean Casey, put it all together, and you got a spurt. You got, about a week left in July, and then you have 2 months to really get right. Could it happen? Yeah, so, and really, if you look at the other teams, the Rays haven't exactly ran away with the AL East. I mean, been given every opportunity, but they've stumbled themselves, and the Yankees always say we're about, anywhere from 8 to 9 games back in the AL East. So you might look, oh my God, they're in the 4th or 5th place. They're terrible. Well, that is true, but also true. Most teams, usually when you're in last place, you're like 20 games back. That's not really the case with the Yankees. They're only about 8 or 9 games back, so it's not without of the realm for them to make a little bit run. And especially there's plenty of games left 1-on-1 against the Rays after the Subway Series there, and the schedule is going to get much tougher. But the Yankees aren't just totally out of it. It's just the fact that they're in the AL East right now. So I think they're not going to, especially again as mentioned before, spend $360 million on Judge, $160 million on Rendon. Have Volpe to start the season there. I don't think you do all that just to like tank the rest of the season. So I don't see any possibility the Yankees be sellers. And I know they kind of played coy at this. You remember back in the 2016 season when they kind of switched the team around. They basically told A-Rod, hey, go retire. Same thing with Mark Teixeira. He was having the neck issue. To say, stay home, you're done for the year. Kind of made a few trades. Got rid of Chapman. Got rid of Miller there and all this stuff, and kind of changed the team around. They're like, no, we're still going for the playoffs. We're just getting rid of all these stars and bring some prospects in. So they'll try to sell you that, but I don't think the Yankees, what they did in 2016, they're going to do that in 2023. I think the Yankees are still going to go for it. I don't think they're going to make any big splashes to trade deadline. Get no Otanis. You could see something like a Bellinger. Okay, that's what you can see there. And I think this is going to give it a shot and just hope with Judge coming back and his team could finally get a little run there to end the season. And that's usually the best way. If you look at the teams that usually win in the World Series, the teams that just get hot at the right time. And it seems like the Yankees just going back for the past, since they've won the championship in 2009, since last time, they always have a great, good regular season, and they get in the playoffs and they just go cold and you just get wiped out by teams that's hot at the right time. So this gives the opportunity to get some momentum in those last two months of the season and be the hot team going into the playoffs, which the Yankees haven't been in a long time. In the end, those are the teams that usually wins the World Series. Now, is that going to happen with this team? No, but at least there are some structures in place. But of course, the most important piece is Judge. Judge has to be in there. So without Judge, it doesn't happen. But need Judge in there. But again, there is a timetable for them to get hot and then go into the playoffs hot. And hey, crazier things have happened. Now, if the Yankees do end up being short, well, they're not going to make the AL East, but at least maybe short of one of the wild card games, they're really going to kick themselves in the pants because they had a real soft July schedule. I mean, even without Judge, they should have won a lot more games. Again, you had matchups against inferior NL Central teams, during the in-league there, mainly the Cubs, the St. Louis Cardinals, especially the Cubs coming to the Yankee Stadium and, winning 2 out of 3. I mean, that shouldn't have happened. And then, of course, when they start the second half of the season, losing 2 out of 3 in Colorado, especially that third game, which was a killer. I mean, they had to lead like 3 different times in that game, and the bullpen blew it. So, again, it's a real gut punch. Games against Kansas City Royals, and, of course, the Mets, crosstown rival. I know it's the Subway Series, but the Mets, again, about like 7-8 games under 500. Again, you look at that schedule, even without Judge, they should have been racking up a lot more wins because after the Mets series, then it gets much tougher for the Yankees. You got a lot of head-on matchups against teams that the Yankees are chasing in the AL East, mainly the first and second place teams in the Tampa Bay Rays, as well as the Baltimore Orioles. Now, there's a good yin-yang of that because, again, if you win those games, you could quickly climb up the AL East ladder, like really instantly almost. But, of course, if you lose those games or just go 50-50, then you're just stuck in the base from there and it doesn't help. But, of course, you got some other tough matchups for the Yankees. The Houston Astros, now I know they're banged up a little bit. It's not your typical Houston Astros of the past couple of seasons, but still, they always pretty much have the Yankees number. And of course, in a league matchup against the Atlanta Braves, getting one of the better teams in baseball, more or less. So it gets much tougher for the Yankees in August. And again, if any situation that they, fall short of the playoffs, they're going to look back at July at a real soft part of the schedule they weren't to take advantage of. Even without Judge, they should have won a lot more of those games. So the Yankees, as I mentioned before, finally got Carlos Rendon in there in the rotation. Been waiting more than half the season for him. But another lefty the Yankees would like to get back is Nestor Cortes. Now during that Angels series, he threw some live batting practice there, so working his way back. But really, starting pitching hasn't been the problem for the Yankees. I mean, Domingo Germán and Clark Schmidt. Really, Clark Schmidt the last 2 months has really been fabulous there, and they've been holding down the fort. So you're not dying. It's not crucial to get Nestor Cortes back, but of course you like him back there in the rotation. Again, you have 2 lefties in there. I think this is beneficial. And of course, Nestor, his funkiness is kind of different from all the Yankee starters there. So, if you throw like Cole, Nestor at a team there, it's like night and day of 2 different starting pitches. That's advantage to the Yankees and disadvantage to the opposing hitters there. And also during the series, the Angels series, they actually were able to meet up with Frankie Montas during his rehab there. Again, this is someone you're not even counting on him, and even if he comes back, I think I'd almost rather have Clark Schmidt than Frankie Montas really at this point. Now, if you were a subscriber to the audio podcast, you already know my take on this. But in case you're not, you can scroll right now after the episode. You're going to see a little different, something different in the Yankee world. You're going to see a logo on the Yankee uniform, which people are seeing like sacrilege. So it's Star Insurance will be on the Yankee uniform starting July 21st. Now, look. We've all gone back that the Yankee uniform is sacred. There's things about it. First of all, there's no names on the back of it. And typically back on, traditionally, there's been no logos or anything like that. Now, look, I'm going to take a few different, takes on this one. Number one, those days are over because they already have the Nike logo on it. So they already sold out more or less. So, now I don't say you look like one of those race car drivers and, hey, let's fill it up with all sorts of patches. I get that. But I don't think it's that big a deal as it might have been like 10 years ago. Yeah, 10 years ago we all been outraged, but since they've already done it with Nike, we've already, crossed the line with that one. So do you like it? Is it gaudy? Is it tacky? Yeah. But again, the team has to do something to generate business, and if they're going to spend money like they did with Garrett Cole, give him like $300 million a couple of years ago, and they need Nike's money to do that, okay, fine. They just spent a boatload of money on Judge, so if they need some money where to recoup some of that to pay for that, okay, fine. They're putting it towards the players. They're not like one of these situations where they're selling the team out and then not putting any money towards the team. I mean, for all the fans want to complain, I mean, Hal does spend money on the team. I mean, they want him to spend like $1 billion, which is crazy, but he does spend money on the team. So do I like it? No, but it is going to be there. I just think a lot of it has to do with mainly the team right now is in a mediocre mode. If this team was rolling in first place and 20 games over 500, I don't think people would care less. But it's the fact this team right now is just kind of sputtering along a little bit and in danger not even making the playoffs. And now you add this almost like insult to injury. I think that's why you're getting a lot of bad feedback from it. Now on the business side of it, I believe Star Insurance is this like the 13th different team that they've signed an agreement with to do this. It's also going to, I'm sure you'll see a billboard out there in in Yankee Stadium somewhere, maybe next to Nathan's Hot Dogs or something, one of those advertisements out there. But for the Yankees, it's going to bring in about $25 million per year. Don't know long how it goes. Again, it'll be starting very soon. And they kind of did some promos with like Judge and Cole looking up into the camera with the patch on and says, whatever. Again, the Yankees are going to make the money. It's the way you do it. And things are different now. People are like, well, George would never done this. Well, first of all, if you want to remember when George wanted a new stadium, how many times did he threaten to move the team to Jersey? So that's not exactly Yankee tradition there. And again, this is a different day and age. It's not back in the day when the Yankees had all the money. Remember the trade deadline, everyone would send their stars to the Yankees because the Yankees had the money to do it. Well, the Yankees aren't the only team with money right now. Now you have the Dodgers are big spenders. San Diego Padres are big spenders. The Mets now are big spenders. So, all these teams have done well with the revenue sharing. They've done well with the TV deals. And, so the Yankees aren't the only kid on the block with money. So they got to find other ways to generate revenue. So be it. I don't like it, but it's not something that's going to keep me awake at night. And I think this in the future, you're going to see a little bit more and more of it. I don't think they look like a race car driver, so I don't think we'll get that crazy. But will you see something little tweaks there more or less with all the patches? Probably. So we're going to have part 2 of the Subway Series. This time it moves over to Yankee Stadium, and the Yankees split one game apiece over there at Citi Field early in the season. Now, coming to this one, it's really going to have not much juice to it. I mean, obviously, Judge is not going to be back in time for it. It's the same way he wasn't there for the Citi Field matchup. And the Mets themselves are kind of reeling in there. 18 and a half games out of first place of the NL East, so they got absolutely no shot in there. And about 7 or 8 games under 500. And again, you hear talks of fire Buck and trade Verlander, trade Scherzer, and supposedly Scherzer's agent put it out there that he would be open to a trade right now. So coming into the series, you're not exactly excited, but it's still Mets, Yankees. It's really more about the fans. So I'm sure it'll still be packed ballparks, and I'm sure the 7 train visiting crowd team will come there. They'll be out there in the upper deck and left field there for the Yankees team. So it'll be fun. Of course, you'll still have a little bit of a playoff atmosphere, but for anything, this more benefits. For the Mets and the Mets fans, this is probably their last, big moment of the season for them because this looks like they're going nowhere. So for the Yankees, it's the typical thing for the Yankees. If you win, great, you beat the Mets, who cares? But if you lose, it's like, oh my God, a disaster, you lost to the Mets. So we'll see how this goes. But of course, once the game starts, it's going to have that playoff atmosphere there. It's just because it's Mets Yankees there. But the game itself, it would have been great. If this going into the season, we thought both these teams would be on top of their divisions. So just the way they are right now, they're almost both at the bottom of the division. So that's kind of a big letdown. But if the Yankees don't make the playoffs, this might be the last great moment for the Yankee fans as well. And of course for the Met fans, they got nothing left to look forward for the rest of the season for them. So for them, this is their 2-game World Series. And Yankee fans always might think, well, it's always our players that are getting hurt and doing well, underperforming. Well, just look at a team that the Yankees recently faced in the Anaheim Angels. I mean, Mike Trout, who was supposed to be touted one of the greatest, top 3 best baseball players in the game. Well, he hurt his hamate, I guess that little ligament in the wrist. Same thing Andrew Benintendi had for the Yankees last season. Now he had a complete tear, so he wasn't able to come back for the Yankees. Trout is at least more of a rehab situation where maybe he's going to come back this season. But if you look at, this guy has been hurt a lot. I mean, the Angels gave him over $400 million, and when is he ever healthy? And, he's in a situation where, let's say if he was playing for the Yankees, he was getting hurt this much, people would be complaining. So, even though you have Judge hurt, it sucks, and you have Stan underperforming for the most part, it's annoying. But it's not just Yankees that have this. It happens to, it happens to other people in baseball. It's just we always figure it happens to us Yankees fans. Even look what happened to Alex Manoah, the rival pitcher there for this, Toronto Blue Jays, who's obviously Cole's enemy now. He was just so bad this season they had to send him down to AAA. He finally came back up, but this goes to show it's not only the Yankees that have these problems, whether it's injuries or just players just out of nowhere just can't seem to find themselves. So for the Yankees, I would say they probably the main problem right now, I guess, of all the Yankees going around is this probably the mystery of DJ LeMahieu. It just seems like we keep checking in on him and he keeps going further down. And again, as I mentioned before, he's just probably not going to be the machine ever again. He's just right now he's hovering around 230, so he's not hurt as far as we know, unless there's an injury situation. I mean, the last couple of seasons, it seemed like towards the end of the year he was hurt, and that's why he was playing bad. He's kind of been not himself the entire season, so I think with DJ, I don't think it's a hurt situation. I just think it's a situation where he's just say, look, he's just kind of getting on the wrong side of 30 there. He's probably aged quicker than the Yankees realized. Probably a little bit more with Stanton as well. Even though Stanton, was able to turn on some like 94, 96 mile per hour fastballs recently and knock them deep out of the ballpark. So Stanton, I don't worry about as much. But DJ, I think it's more of an aging situation. Now he can at least play the field. He's a slick fielder there, so at least that part of his game is okay. But it was a situation before Donaldson got hurt. They were batting Donaldson before DJ. I mean, that just shows you how far DJ's declined. So moving ahead to 2024, MLB released the schedule for next season, and for the Yankees, they will start off the season in Houston, a place they normally lose, so you almost count some losses early on the season, and it'll be on the road for the first 2 weeks of the season there, so kind of a delayed start from a Yankee Stadium home opener for the Yankees. And in terms of what teams come in, interesting matchups, it will be those Los Angeles Dodgers. Again, the Yankees played the Dodgers this season, and hopefully Judge has a run through a wall at Yankee Stadium, and tear another toe ligament there. So that's next year for the Yankees. As for baseball wide, of course we know they do the London series. Now they also introduced this season as well early on the Mexico game, but now they're going to even have another one out. They're going to have the Korean game. Of course, it's going to be South Korea, not North Korea. But North Korea would be a little bit more interesting. But this game will be in South Korea. So you see MLB kind of trying to expand the game out there, and of course we've seen the NFL doing this for a couple of seasons. With the game out in the UK as well, which usually they take like two of the worst teams and put them out there, but nevertheless. They're going to be doing that now. So, and we remember when the Yankees played Boston out there a couple of seasons ago. I mean, it was cool fan-wise, but the quality of play was terrible. I mean, there was absolutely no pitching involved in that game. So we'll see how this game in Korea is going to be interesting there. We'll see. I don't know if it's one of those like smaller little dome type venues. So you're going to probably see like a ton of offense. And you remember that game with San Diego in Mexico there. Machado's going off at home runs there. So that's probably be the same thing in Korea when they go there. So that's next season for MLB. So that's the episode. So we're going to probably say bye-bye to Josh Donaldson with this injury. He's probably not going to come back. And just, again, with low batting average, there's no need to get him back. And again, one won't give Peraza the opportunity there. So it's probably he's going to be the third baseman for the remainder of the season. We got Sean Casey, the new hitting coach. I don't think he's going to have that much of an impact. Again, you have a team that's mostly right-handed hitters, and Sean Casey is a left-handed hitter. When he was a player. Now again, hitting's hitting. You should know technique like that, but I think he would relate better if the Yankees had more left-handed hitters than not. So. He can have some impact, but I don't think he's going to change the whole team around. What's going to change the team around is going to be Aaron Judge coming back, and hopefully it's not too long. And I think he just makes everyone better. He makes Rizzo better. He makes Stanton better. He even makes DJ better. He just makes everyone better around him. That's why he's the reigning MVP, not only because he hit the 62 home runs. He just makes everyone better there. So you got to get him back there. And again, there's enough time for the team to sort of get hot, find some momentum, and then sort of rise and be the hot team going into the playoffs there. And that's what you got to really hope for the Yankees. And you're not getting Ohtani, so that's not happening. It's a dream. It's not happening. What you could get is someone like Bellinger. So hopefully the Yankees add someone like Corey Bellinger, who could be the everyday left fielder, and you just go to war with that.